Now with this video, we're gonna do things a little bit different. Usually I have my nice little roads that I like to carve out on. Unfortunately, I only have one camera today. The GoPros are usually on borrow from Gabe, but we don't have them with us because he's filming his own stuff for me, for his cars. Now, we've had the Lexus for about 2 weeks, and it's been an incredible experience. So to get started, let's start from the outside. You know, everyone has their opinions on what that front looks like. Personally, I love it. I think it's a cool looking front end, and you know, it has a really great shape to it. It's the Lexus DNA. That's what the majority of the cars, you know, that's what their front end looks like. The way it stands on the 20-inch wheels, unbelievable. Love those things. They're massive and they don't feel big either. And the tires have been awesome on this. Lots of grip, even in the rain that I dealt with. Let's talk about this color. This color is unbelievable. It's like a brown, purple, you know, magenta color. When the sun hits it, it just glistens. It's a beautiful color. Probably one of my favorite colors that I would definitely get this car in. Taillights, you know, you have cool little design in the back. One of my favorite things is the amount of cameras this thing has on the outside is unbelievable. I've only seen 2 of them, the front and the back, but for some reason there's got to be, I think in the mirrors there's probably some for your blind spots. I mean, I have no blind spots in this car. These big cars, you start worrying about blind spots, especially with myself, that I'm used to driving smaller cars and I don't have to worry so much about such a huge dimension. So that's for the outside. We get on the inside and it gets even better. It gets even better. This interior color is unbelievable. This plum looking interior is amazing. I love it. I haven't had so much joy, I guess, for a color of an interior, but this is definitely one of the most beautiful colors. It's like this, like, again, it kind of follows this like plum, like maroon color inside. So it's definitely a great look. You know, this is typically seen as an older people car. This is, you're retired, you just want to have a big SUV, you want to have that luxury, you have your Toyota reliability, which is huge. You don't want to have to deal with you know, car breaking down or anything like that. You know, peace of mind that the Toyota reliability is going to be there. So even though it's not in my demographic, I think this fits me so well. I've been getting these great looks from people when I get out of this car and they're wondering, how is that younger person, you know, in this car? Because it's not cheap. So what we're dealing with here is about 60,000 or so, a little bit over 60,000, but you get so much for it. Again, we'll go back to the interior. The seats are unbelievable. You have seat warmers and you have what I call butt coolers. So it's definitely a great thing. It's one of my favorite things to have, especially here in Austin, where right now it's measuring 101 degrees outside. So it's hot. And when I usually film these videos, we have to have the AC turned off because of, you know, you don't want to hear the constant AC. But right now, what's actually keeping me cool is the butt coolers. So I say butt coolers, but it's not just on the bottom part, but it's also on the back. So it's definitely keeping me cool right now. And I figured, why not wear this shirt? Because after all, I took this all the way to Miami. So I went on a family trip. We went to go see some family, my wife and I and my kid, in Miami. And I decided, let me take tons of you know, all my photo gear, because I have a buddy of mine that I like to help him out with some video production stuff. So decided, yeah, let's go load up the car. Figure we have the space, why not? The interior is great. I love the look. The steering wheel feels very comfortable. Love the way that it's laid out. The buttons are well within reach. Unlike some other cars that the buttons just don't make sense. It makes sense in this car, and I rarely, was fumbling through them. The ergonomics is definitely there for that. And again, beautiful wood on the top. Grabbing surfaces are nice plush leather, nice stitching on it. A couple of cool things. You have a clock. Not really something I'd really use, but it just fits so well in this interior. Because again, this is, on the luxury side of things, which is why I said it's a little weird for me to be in this kind of car, because if it were up to me, I'd probably go with the F Sport. But the more I thought this wasn't for me, the more it actually was for me. So just because of, those little touches, it put me in a higher class of things. I didn't feel like a young teenager. I felt like someone with prestige, because it makes you feel that way, and people saw me that way when I got out of this car. So it's been a fun little thing, fun experience to have with people. You have your automatic transmission, 8 speeds, feels great, smooth, very smooth shifts. There's no hesitations. There's nothing, no weird noises, no weird anything. It just works very well. And with this engine, it has so much power. Like, it really feels like a very powerful SUV. It doesn't feel extremely heavy either, which is amazing. And that's even when you're, in standard mode. You don't have to switch it over to any sort of sport mode to feel, the power. We take a look at the infotainment system. At first, it has this little joystick thing that I thought was kind of weird at first, but then I started getting kind of the groove to it and how it works. I love it. This thing should be in every single car. Now, I've test driven the other Lexus, the ES3 350, I believe. That has kind of like the Apple trackpad thing, which I thought was great. Some people don't like that one either. But this system is way better than that. So Lexus, if you're hearing me, this needs to be on every single Lexus vehicle. In fact, if you guys can sell the technology, it should be in every single vehicle. So it's been a great little system to move around and pick what I need to. It's a great feeling joystick. It has different kind of clicks and like pressures that it has. So it's been a cool little thing, and just very useful to get quickly in and out of menus. So this has been one of my favorite things. One thing that I wish were better, and I mean, not every car has it, but this has like a phone kind of area where you could put your phone there and close it. It doesn't work if you have a very large phone, and I have an 8 Plus just because it's easier for me to see. If you have a big phone, it's not going to work for you, but you still have the opening where you can put it on your armrest. It feels great though, like that little area. It's a good area to rest your hand on. Some couple of cool things. It's got eco mode, it's got normal mode, and then it's got the sport mode. Because we were traveling to Florida, we wanted to make the most out of it. Gas wise, we were on eco 99% of the times. Then once we got there, I was a little bit happy with the sport mode. So with eco mode, we were able to do, we did 25 miles to the gallon. Granted, it was all highway. So the gas mileage isn't 100% there. They do have a hybrid version, which might be something to consider if you're looking for great mileage, but it does have 4-wheel drive, which is another thing that this car doesn't feel like there's an on and off switch with 4-wheel drive like all other systems have, or all-wheel drive, sorry. You can, it's funny because it actually has a little gauge on here that when you accelerate, it shows you the power, or it shows you like little breaks of how much, or the percentage of of how much power is going to the front compared to the back. So in this case, the majority of it is really always going to the front. And you'll see some of it go in the back when you really floor it, and then you'll gradually see it going towards the front, which is fine. I mean, it works well. It didn't, like I said, it didn't feel like anything. It was clicking on or off or anything like that. Traction control worked well. You can spin the tires, I can tell you that. Yeah, so even in the dry, if you really hit it, it'll go. So traction control worked really well. Suspension works pretty good, as I can feel with that bump. Switching it over to sport mode though, this little engine sounds really good. It surprised me. I did get a couple of crackles and pops from it. Yeah, you can get some real good crackles and pops from it. That's something you usually say in a Lexus. So another thing I want to touch upon is Lexus's safety. Now, earlier this year, I was in Toyota's headquarters here in Texas for a presentation regarding, you know, newer technologies, the automated systems that they want to implement. One of the biggest things that I really was surprised and was just so amazed at what they're doing is that Toyota doesn't want to replace the driver. They don't. They want to improve the driver. What I mean by that is, you know, they have things like sensors in the front that can see the cars ahead of you, you know, sense its distance, and it does it at an extremely good rate. And just it really was one of the best systems I've dealt with. Cruise control was one of the biggest things. So with driving, especially at night, long hours, I decided, you know what, let's use cruise control. I was a little worried of the system. It's a new system to me. I've never used you know, cruise control in a Lexus, but after doing so, I will be using it in every single Lexus that I have, or that I drive, obviously. It can sense the cars in front and it'll adjust, but it's not, and every car has that, but it just does it so well, so smooth, that I didn't even notice that the car itself was slowing down. So it uses a combination of engine braking, it uses a combination of the brakes itself, but it does it in a smooth, predictive manner. And it also did it in a way where, you know, I had a car cut me off on the highway and it didn't panic, but it kept me at a safe distance. And you can set the, you know, the distance on your phone, on the wheel as well. It just did such a amazing job, and that's, I think, one of the greatest things about this car is that the systems that Toyota is implementing in them, not just the Toyota but also Lexus, is that improving the driver and how they work with, you know, with the car, and not just replacing the driver. And that's one of the big things. They said improve the driver, then we'll discuss the other things. So that was a great tool that this had. Now, let's talk about the space inside. My kiddo was in the back seat, so he was perfectly fine, had plenty of space. My wife was in the passenger seat, plenty of space, no issues. We did have the third row down because I just had so much gear, and her luggage, my luggage, his luggage, so we needed the space. I can tell you that this third row isn't the largest. I'm not the tallest of people, and my head was kind of close to the roof of the inside of the car. My knees were a little touching. But if you're on the second row with the captain's chair, so this one has the captain's seats, they're great. There's plenty of space. So you know, with that, you can definitely have people in the back and it not be an issue. Now, talk about price tag, $63,000. It's not chump change, but if I were to have the money, without a doubt, this would get my money. If I were to put a price tag on this, I would say 75,000 would be still a fair price for what you're getting. It's just that damn good. Like, I'll be honest with you. Oh, the sound system, forgot to talk about that. Mark Levinson, this one has a Mark Levinson system. The most hilarious thing is, so I have a tendency of listening to some heavier music, some heavier rock music, and just listening to that heavy metal, or not heavy metal really, just harder rock music in this car just contradicts itself. You're supposed to listen to classical music or easy listening, you know, the stuff that fits with this shirt, a beach shirt. You know, you're retired in Florida, and the irony of me going to Miami in this car. Like I said, I underestimated this car. I thought, or this SUV, I thought it's not for me, and I put my foot where my mouth is. So definitely, Lexus, you've corrected me on that. So this is definitely something I would want to have, you know, if I had the opportunity to purchase this over, you know, if I was looking for an SUV. So we've made it to our destination. Thank you guys for doing this drive with me. It's been a lot of fun, and that's it.